All right, we are at 1 o'clock and we are joined by Chase Briscoe, driver of the number 14 Global Mustang Week Ford Mustang special paint scheme this weekend at Richmond. And for those of you who may not be totally up on your Ford history, that this is Mustang Week in our world. April 17th was the first time that Mustang was introduced to the public. So we're celebrating Mustang Week for that anniversary on April 17th. And Chase, just from a Mustang perspective, I think everybody has some sort of Mustang story. What's your Mustang story?
Well, I've been very fortunate to drive Mustangs my entire career, really. I mean, we were in the F-150 there for a couple of years in the truck series. But, for me, when I think of Mustang, I just think about the commitment that Ford's made to me, truthfully. Without them, there's no way that I'm sitting here talking to you guys right now, and for them to believe in me from day one. I know it's not necessarily the Mustang story on the street or something that you'd be expecting, but when I think of Mustang, I think of Ford, and without Ford and them taking a chance on me, there's no way I'm getting to do what I'd love to do for a living. So when I think of Mustang or F-150 or any of those, it all comes back to Ford and the commitment they've made to me, like I said, and forever being grateful for that commitment. There's definitely plenty of times I felt like they could have dropped me, and they stuck behind me and continued to believe in me, and Mark Rushbrook and Pat DeMarco and everybody over there from day one's believed in me. Even probably sometimes when I didn't believe in myself, they continued to. So that's probably what I think of when I think Mustang, for me. And then just the heritage that Mustang carries, and just the cool thing about being with Ford is it's all racers, and that's where the whole company started. And to continue to have that racing heritage, and obviously with Mustang, and now it's special for me this week to have the Global Mustang Week on the car, just and carry that heritage. There's so many fans that come along with the Mustang brand, and it'll be cool to carry them all along.
All right, if you've got a question for Chase, by all means, raise your hand, shoot me a chat, and we'll get to your questions here. So let's get started right off the bat. Let's go to Jim Utter. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Chase. Hope you and Marissa are doing well.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Obviously, there have been some races this season where Stewart-Haas as an organization has struggled overall. And I was just wondering if you could describe a little bit how the process has been for you, for someone who is just trying to learn the ropes of the Cup Series while also having to work within the confines of an organization that's trying to make itself better as the course of the season goes on.
Yeah, it's definitely, unique, and just being even in our competition meetings and things like that, talking to the other guys and just talking about some of the things that we're struggling with this year, we would have never really struggled with in the past, and just knowing that, I think for me, just trying to keep all that in check, obviously want to go out there and try to win every race. And just right now our cars are off, and, just trying to keep that confidence. And it's been hard, to not run like I thought we would. I think the encouraging thing is we've been fast, at times of the race. We just haven't been able to put a whole thing together. And I think that'll come with experience. But then, I think the good thing, I guess, for me, in a sense of being a rookie and kind of struggling results wise, like you said, kind of our whole company is struggling. So it's not like, the other three guys are running in the top 5 and 10 the whole race. As a company, we're kind of off. So I feel like I'm, getting kind of what we got out of the thing. It's just a matter of figuring out where we're missing right now and trying to get it better. And I'm confident that we'll do that, at an organization like SHR. We have so many smart people that are going to figure it out. It's just a matter of, finding that little bit that we need right now. So it's definitely been hard. But at the same time, we're only 8 races in. I've learned a ton in these first 8 races, and we'll continue to throughout the year.
And the other question, I was just curious, it kind of looked this way on Sunday's race, but do you guys seem to get better once you've been on the track for a while during the course of a race? Because it really looked like the longer in some of these races where you guys start off struggling, the longer the race goes on, the better you seem to be able to. I mean, you might not be in contention to win, but you seem to work your way into a better position, but particularly you and Kevin this past Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that just goes back to the no practice thing. The first 150, 200 laps of the race, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing and kind of what I need. And, you only have 1 or 2 adjustments up to that point. And, I've probably steered them the wrong direction a time or two. And then it takes us, towards the last quarter of the race. Once you get to the 3/4 mark, I want to say every race this year, with the exception of probably Atlanta, we've been a top 10 speed car every week. And just, I think with no practice, it's hard to expect to start off there with a rookie. And, I feel like if we could obviously start at that point, the race would go totally better. But, for us, at that 3/4 mark of the race, when we have that top 10 speed, we're mired back 20th to 25th area. And then it's just hard to rally. And, last week we were obviously able to drive up to 8th or 9th there that one run, and then we had a loose wheel and ended up blowing a tire. So just we haven't been able to put the whole thing together, and even just maximizing the end of the race there when we have speed, and trying to recover. And I think we've done a good job of making our cars better every week and driving better and getting more speed out of them. We just haven't been able to capitalize necessarily on that speed. And I could literally point back to every race this year where we could have finished way better than what we do, and we just kind of have a mess up at the end. Phoenix is another one. I think we drove up to 8th or 9th, and we had a 25-second green flag pit stop with 60 to go, and you just can't have that in the Cup Series. It's just so tight and so competitive. So I think as the year goes on, that hopefully that 3/4 mark will hopefully move back to halfway through the race, and then 1/4 of the way into the race, and then from there you can fight and recover from things a lot easier and just have speed a lot earlier in the race.
Thanks a lot, Chase.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Let's go to Bob Pockras. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Chase, who flipped you off for a whole lap on Martinsville? I saw around Essence. I think I saw that in the tweet.
There was more than one. There was like 4 or 5, to be honest with you. It felt like every person that I've raced around was mad. I don't know if that's just part of the Cup deal or what. I know I was talking to Corey LaJoy after the race and Bowman and all them, and we're like, man, just if you race hard, they get mad for whatever reason. So there's a couple. I don't want to throw them under the bus or anything like that, but I felt like everything I did was never in the wrong. I passed them, and then they'd get mad, or I'd outbrake them getting into the corner, and then I'd be on their inside, and they'd flip you off for the next lap. And I don't know. I don't want to throw them under the bus, but somebody I raced with last year. But it was frustrating for sure. I don't know why everybody was so mad about racing hard and getting outbraked, but I guess according to Bowman and LaJoy and them guys, that they get pretty mad if you do that.
And NASCAR is going to start letting some sponsor people and stuff, others in the garage, starting at Darlington. You may not have a lot of contact with them until a little bit later in the year, but as a driver, but I'm curious, is there anything that you want to see, or is there anything that you feel is important as NASCAR starts potentially opening things up?
No, I think we're in a good spot to start opening things up. I feel like we've done a really good job, even at the end of last year and this year. And if they feel like they're comfortable to be able to start doing that, then I know as a driver I'm comfortable. It's really no different. I don't feel like last week walking into Martinsville, I probably signed for 30 or 40 fans walking in because they're all standing there, and I feel like it's no different if we have sponsors in the garage or whatever. And I think the sponsors in the garage is a huge thing that we've been needing to have happen. I know just from my end, High Point's been in the sport since literally the first race of last year, and that's the only race they've been able to go to in the garage. And that's something that they've been needing to be able to do, to go and talk to other companies from a B2B standpoint and meet these other people and CEOs and things like that. And they haven't had that opportunity because of COVID. And to keep them around, we need those B2B opportunities for High Point. So, I'm glad that they're going to be able to go now, starting at Darlington, and hopefully we can continue just to get more and more people in there. And then obviously the fans, hopefully by the end of the year, because it is such an atmosphere that we need.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
All right, we had 2 from Jim Utter. We had 2 from Bob Pockras. I know we're going to get at least 2 from Dustin Long. So go ahead, Dustin, get started.
Thank you. Chase, I'm curious, one thing Tony Stewart talked about years ago is that there's no playbook for a driver when you come up into this level. And I'm curious from your perspective. You've talked about confidence. You've talked about the challenges, certainly the highs and lows you've experienced in racing in the last year, along with the highs and lows that you've gone through in a very public way in your personal life. There's a lot that's talked about, maybe more so now, about mental health for athletes, where it wasn't as addressed as much in years past. And how do you work through that? How do you try to maintain an even keel, and what have you done, or is there anything to do, especially for someone like you who has gone through so much personally and professionally in a relatively short period of time?
Yeah, I think Tony definitely hit the nail on the head where when you say there is no playbook, and just the change in everything, whether it's, on the racetrack, off the racetrack, on the cup side. I've been more busy now than I've ever been in my entire career combined, I feel like, just this year alone. So there's a lot of things that are very new. And you add COVID on top of that, I feel like it's even harder. But yeah, I feel like, the mental side is so big, obviously in the race car, but off the racetrack, and especially in racing. I just feel like confidence, this goes such a long way. If you're not confident in your abilities and what you're doing, you start second guessing, and whenever, there's split second decisions to be made, you can't second guess. And normally if you second guess 9 times out of 10, you choose wrong and you end up in the wreck, or you make the wrong move and all those things. And, I think for me, I've really tried to lean on Harvick a lot this year and just talk to him. And even, going back to yesterday, I talked to him about, I feel like my entire career, I've never really been vocal on the radio. I'm a pretty even killed guy, I guess. I don't get worked up. I don't yell. I don't get frustrated. I'm pretty normal all the time, and just kind of relaxed all the time. And, I probably need to get a little more worked up in the race car, and let my team know what I need, and get kind of not angry or mad, not yelling and screaming, but be more adamant. And just talking to Kevin yesterday about, how to express my frustrations, how to kind of explain those things that I'm feeling inside the race car, just so we can make our whole team better. And, I don't know if that's necessarily the answer to the question that you're wanting, but, for me, I feel like just trying to lean on guys that have experience and have been there. And obviously Kevin, I feel like is one of the best to talk to, whether it's on track stuff or off track stuff, and just trying to use him as much as I can, just to try to get as close to a playbook as I can get, I guess.
Kevin has certainly throughout his career, especially early in his career, was noted for his vocalness on the radio. He certainly changed as he's matured, no doubt. What kind of advice did he give, or how did he kind of help you as somebody who's gone through a lot of the spectrum throughout his career?
Yeah, I think for me is, I told him, I feel like in the past, I've never been in a situation where I felt like I could not complain, but just even bring up things that I felt like were a big issue. And, going back to last week, at Martinsville, I felt like as a team, we could have communicated a lot better, for example. And, there's a couple of times we should have pitted and we didn't. And we were going to take the wave around, but there was lead lap cars in front of us. And then a couple of times we didn't even know who we were racing for the lucky dog. And, it was frustrating from my end, just not knowing. And I know at Martinsville, it's really hard for my crew chief and spotter to even know all those things that are going on, because stuff happens so fast. But just, I felt like it needed to be addressed to make our team better. And just talking to Kevin about, how do I bring this up without, being a rear end essentially. And I don't want to be that guy, just because that's not who I am from a personality standpoint. I'm not going to be, going into a meeting and pounding my fist, or, cussing or anything like that, and just trying to figure out how to be that guy. Because like I said in the past, I never felt like I could complain, because I was just thankful for the opportunity and I didn't want to screw up my opportunity. So, just talking to Kevin about how, I think the best thing he told me is, you have to look out for yourself. This is a business. And, if you don't bring things up, the blame's going to get pointed at you on why the results aren't coming, and things like that. And not saying I'm trying to blame the results on our team. I just felt like we could run a lot better and just communicate a lot better. And as that communication gets better, and even me communicating what I need in the car, all those things, those are going to make our results better. So just trying to make our team better from, start to finish of the race, and talking to Kevin just about how he would go about the situation that I felt like I was in the other day.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Let's go to Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Chase, thanks for the time, man. First off, big congratulations to you and Marissa.
Yeah, thank you.
First child, man. First off, what you kind of talked about it a little bit with Jim and even Dustin too, but what's been like the biggest challenge or learning curve in these first few races driving a cup car?
Yeah, I think just the the attention to detail off the track, the things at the shop that are done, but then on the track, just how you have to be 100%. I mean, you can't make one mistake. And if you make one mistake, at least kind of where we're at from a speed standpoint, you just can't recover. And just how hard it is to literally run for 20th. I feel like I race harder for 20th in the Cup Series than I did to win Xfinity races. And I think, what little I've been up front, like at the Daytona road course there for a couple laps, I feel like the racing intensity is actually easier at the front of the field versus in that mid pack area, just because everybody's kind of fighting for their life back there. And, it's just so cutthroat. But I think that'd be the biggest thing, is just how you have to be on. You can't have one mistake. And if you have one mistake, you're just kind of buried for the day, especially if it happens late in the race. So just trying to minimize those mistakes and try to do the best I can from a preparation standpoint. Trying to know what I need to do on the racetrack, and with no practice, just knowing kind of what my marks are going to be from the get-go. It's just very tough. It's very cutthroat. And everybody talks about that step from the Xfinity Series to the Cup, but it's definitely tough.
Is there anything that you take away from your run at Martinsville over to this weekend and another short track at Richmond?
Yeah, I know from a setup standpoint, that one run where we drove up through the field, we felt like we were really, really strong, and that was an adjustment we made. And trying to just get the car as similar to that as we can. Richmond's probably my worst racetrack, I feel like, by quite a bit. So just trying to look at that stuff and kind of see what at Martinsville correlated over. I feel like they feel like their car will be a little bit better than what it was last year at Richmond from just a drive standpoint, forward drive, just a grip standpoint. So, just trying to figure out setup wise, looking back at even these first 8 races and see how I'm different from Clint. I know that they've talked about how my, I guess, tolerance for freeness is a lot bigger than what they're used to. And I'm really loose, but to me, I don't feel loose, but for them setup wise, it's way looser than what they're typically used to running. So just trying to figure out those differences between Clint and I, so they can really try to build a setup more molded to me.
Thanks, Chase. Best of luck this weekend, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Anton, go ahead. You're up.
And good afternoon, Chase. Last
Hey.
Saturday's Cup Series race at Martinsville was postponed shortly after the start to Sunday. How difficult it is to maintain momentum and focus in such a situation?
I don't feel like it's too hard. Especially in today's kind of climate of no practice. We kind of do that every week where you just show up and go. And, we weren't really that far into the race. For me, I felt like that rain delay was a huge blessing, just because it finally allowed me to get out of the car, look at data, go home at night, sleep on it, think about what I needed to be doing different, even go back and watch the first 40 laps of the race. And that's something that I haven't been able to do all year. So for me, I felt like big. Obviously rain delays aren't ideal, but for a rookie, I felt like it was a huge advantage that would help me just kind of shorten that gap between the rest of the field.
Thank you. Wishing you all the best for this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's go over to Garrett. Go ahead, Garrett.
Thanks, Dan. Hey, Chase, good to catch up with you.
Hey.
You were talking about birds earlier, so I got to ask for a status update on the baby chicks that Marissa brought home.
Yeah, that deal there, I don't know how she thought this was a good idea. Yeah, I don't know. It makes no sense to me why she thinks that we need 4 chickens at our house. Like I told her, it'd be different if we lived on a lot of land or, on a farm. Like I would be okay with getting 20 chickens, but we live in a neighborhood and they're definitely not going to be okay with chickens. So yeah, they're still here right now. They're no longer in our house. Thankfully, they're now in the garage. I don't know why she thought that was a good idea either, but yeah, I guess she said that she was kind of bored watching the race because I wasn't running very good, and decided that she was going to go get some chickens because she wanted something to take care of. So we have 4 baby chicks, and hopefully they'll be gone soon.
Well, if you run well this weekend, who knows what you might show up with when you get home Sunday.
Well, that was the scary thing. She said she was going to go get 4 ducks, and then they were out of ducks. So now she decided she was going to get chickens. So I told her I would have been way more happy and accepting, and if it was a puppy or something over, 4 chickens. I don't know where we're going to put these chickens, but I don't know. I'm trying to find, I guess, somebody at our shop or something that has a farm She just says she wants to get eggs, and she doesn't care. She just wants them here and to be able to go outside and get eggs. But like I said, I don't think the town even has an. I'm pretty sure the town has an ordinance against that. So I might be the one to call in the city on her.
All right, man. Well, good luck this weekend. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's go to Dustin Albino. Go ahead, Dustin. And by the way, if you got any follow-ups or anything, we've still got a few more minutes. So by all means, raise your hand again and we'll continue for a couple more minutes. But Dustin, go ahead. You're up.
Hey Chase, not sure if I can follow that one up, but you mentioned how it's hard to race for 20th in Cup as it was to win in Xfinity. Has the move to Cup been even harder than you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. I felt like I was going to be able to go run a little bit better for sure. If you would have told me that, what are we, 8 races in, and my best finish was going to be like 18th or 19th, I probably would have been like, no, I don't. I think we'll be able to run, top 10, maybe once or twice, right around that 15th mark almost every weekend. And, we just haven't been able to do that. And, like I was saying earlier, we've had the speed, we just haven't been able to capitalize on it. And, like I said, Phoenix was a great one that I felt like got away. I felt like we were at the worst going to run 8th and potentially run 6th or 7th area. Then we had that bad pit stop at the end, and just it kills you. And I think we ended up running 24th or something there. So it's definitely been tough. The Cup Series is just very intense, and obviously the kind of the struggles we're having right now as a company. I think it's not encouraging, because obviously as a team we want to be running better. But for me as a rookie to see that my teammates are kind of struggling just as bad as I am, it helps a little bit, I guess, to relieve some of that worry and doubt that you would have, just seeing if you're ready to do this or not. I feel like if Kevin's having a hard time running top 10, then our stuff's probably a little bit off. So, hopefully we can get it turned around here soon. And once we get the speed back in the car, like I was saying earlier, I feel like when our car drives the way I want it to drive, we're always top 10 speed wise. And as our cars get better, that's only going to get easier. And then hopefully we can kind of get up front more in the mix.
Thank you, Chase.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
All right, Chase, we got a couple follow-ups. Let's start with Bob first. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Chase, you kind of touched on it there, but do you have any sense of how much of it is the car and how much of it is you?
I think it's hard to put a number on it, but I think it's both. I think as a rookie, 8 races into your career, you can't sit there and say it's the car. I think, perfect example is the first, 3/4 of the race. I feel like I'm learning so much. And even at the last lap of the race, I feel like I'm still learning a lot. So, I feel like I'm definitely, part of the problem, for sure at the beginning of the race, and just taking off and trying to maintain that track position and all those things. But at the same time, our cars are off from a speed standpoint. That's no secret. And even from a balance standpoint, we're off, and going through our competition meetings, it seems like week in and week out, all 4 of our cars fight the same thing. So we just have to figure out, how to fix what we're fighting from a balance standpoint. And when the balance is better, our speed is going to be better. But I do think just from a raw speed, we're a little bit off still. But, as a driver, I'm definitely learning so much that I definitely could be doing better at the beginning of these races, but without practice, it is hard. So, I think just got to continue to do the best I can be on the racetrack. And then I know, like I said, our cars are going to get better for sure by the end of the year, and just trying to capitalize on that. And, at the end of the year, we might say, hey, it was good for our team at the beginning of the year to have the whole company struggle. And now that we're learned a lot and got to this end of the season, our cars are fast now, we can capitalize on it. So we just got to continue to learn, me as a driver and as a team. And I feel like once we get everything right, we will be able to contend and compete. It's just a matter of putting it all together.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Let's close it out here with Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Chase, with coming in with that team, is there, people talk about teammates sometimes, the driving styles are different, some are similar. As this organization goes through these struggles, is your driving style any similar than anybody else? Or are you so different, as you referenced your team talking about how you can handle a little bit more of a looser car than what they're used to? Are you kind of so different from the other guys that whatever they take in some things, it's not going to translate as well for you?
I think all 4 of us drive different, but I still feel like it's all relatively the same. I think for us, it has to be something a little bit with the car, just because all four of us do struggle with the same thing every week. And even if we all four have, totally different driving styles, we all four have the same complaints of what the car's doing, where we're struggling with the car, what we need the car to do. So, I think my driving style might be a little more different than what they're used to with Clint, but I don't think just because the other three drivers are different from me, that necessarily means that we can't take what they're doing. I think you still have to fine tune to your driver. What Kevin Harvick thinks is perfect is not going to be what I think is perfect, and vice versa. And that's the same with all four cars. But I do think, the 4 car, the 10 or the 41 hit on something that all of a sudden fixes their issue, or, all of a sudden gives them a lot of speed. I do think that will be a good fix for our whole company, because we all do fight the same thing right now. So hopefully we can figure that out soon. And, we really don't get, I guess, a true test. I mean, we can still test, but Kansas will, I feel like, be the first time back to see if we fixed an issue or not. So hopefully we'll have some more speed there. And also this weekend, because at Martinsville, obviously we weren't the best either.
And what are you hoping that when you look ahead to Kansas, what do you hope that you're able to do that you haven't been able to do as much on the 1.5 miles?
I think just raw speed. You look back at, I guess it was Las Vegas, we were able to run wide open just like Larson was, but he was still going way faster than we were. So just trying to figure out, how he can run wide open for 30, 40 laps where we can only do it for 5 to 10, and just try to figure out, what we need in our race car to be able to do that. So hopefully we'll have it by there. Kansas is a little bit different, because I do feel like it's going to be easier to run wide open there longer than most places. But just raw speed, I think, is the biggest thing. Like I said, when we're both running wide open, they're still going quite a bit faster than us, and it's easier for them to run wide open. It's harder for us, even though we're going slower. So just trying to figure all those things out.
Thank you.